Thorkel, sir, not the time. Read the room. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we are back with the season finale of season 1 of Vinland Saga, episode 24, which is called The End of the Prologue, which makes sense. This is all prologue, my goodness. I guess season 2 is where we actually get into the current. We'll have to see. But the last episode, we basically had more of the political stuff, and the short of it is that Askeladd discovered that the king is planning on attacking what he considers to be his homeland of Wales in the spring, so he's got a very short amount of time to figure out how to circumvent that or potentially warn his people. And then on the Thorfinn side of things, he's going through it. He's in his feelings right now and locked up, and he's been given the opportunity yet again from Leif to leave everything and head back to Iceland and then potentially pursue the dream that his father had of eventually going to Vinland. So ready to jump into this episode. Just before I do though, if you'd like to be notified of when I drop episodes to many shows, I mean, I'm going to be doing season 1 or season 2 of this fairly soon, but I do a lot of other stuff. So please do join me, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can be in the know. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now. Doshita. The beard though. Thanks. Didn't you hear? Where'd you hear that from? Oh, he's pushing the buttons. Is Askeladd gonna be smart enough to keep a poker face this time? Yeah. Okay. You question the king in public? But I was right about Ireland and Wales are 2 different directions, so. Fruitless in which way? He's an emotional guy. I mean, Askeladd does have balls when it comes to certain things. Yeah, please. Reasons. Should we? Oh, that's a graphic description. Interesting. I was about to say, that is the other part of this. Oh, really? He is. How do you know this? He's either going to say no, or he's going to allow it and send Box Top with him. Thorkel, sir, not the time. Read the room. Are they? Right? I was like, damn, I thought we was going to have an execution. Can you get Wales? Oh, Sophie's choice. I knew he did his homework. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Pop a blood vessel, do it. He wanted his dad's boat, actually. He's not getting on that boat, Leif. Oh, he did. Is he really gonna leave? I just don't feel it. I feel like he's gonna wait till you push off and then jump back. What did we just realize? What did that help you see, sir? Yeah, Askeladd's your dad and you can't leave him. He's leaving. I'm sorry, Leif. I really do feel for you because I know like how much that promise means to you, but you can't force him to go with you. He's not a kid anymore. And that is his daddy. Askeladd is his daddy now. In so many ways. Okay, violence it is. This is Thorkel's kind of party! He did. He said the man ugly. We all been thinking it. No. I mean, it's the truth. I want my king to be pretty like Canute. The sweat? I thought you were a warrior, Your Highness. I feel like you're dead to rights at the moment, sir. Sir, warning how, if you're dead, your men have no one to follow. Okay. Oh, okay, let us hear it. Oh, really? Peace out, King. The crown again. Man said, you're not going to my house. This kind of was his only option if he didn't want to choose. What are you gonna do? Your king's dead. For what reason? Oh God, here comes Thorfinn to run and save his daddy. Right. So, do we have more soldiers we can send in, or no? By the way, Thorkel's like, this is the best part of the meal, actually. I thought it was gonna be boring tonight. Well, you know, he knew what he was doing. Oh, Prince is smarter than he looks. Hey, this is what happens when you're under subjugation. Period. I'm not here to clean up your dirty work. That's not what I'm here for. Someone kill Box Top, please. Actually, it should be Thorfinn, but at this point, I don't even care. Really, Thorfinn? Boy always effing things up. Always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Good for you. Thorkel said to do it yourself, and you did. He's like, I can tell. That was weak. Oh, didn't he have his armor? He usually has his armor on. Really? Really, Thorfinn? To cradle him softly? Okay, your dad didn't even get that much. He just unified the people. Yep, don't throw up. Suck it up. Thank you. Still dumb. We? What is this, a romantic movie, sir? No. Yeah, you want to take him out with your dad's knife? Here you go. Take it. Right? We're enemies, remember? Or you forgot the script you've been reading for the last 10 years. Right? He's like, bro, I'm bleeding out, so if you're gonna have your moment, now's the time. We've had 85 duels, pal. He just said, you can go ahead and do it. Right? He's like, you know, this is why I never had any. Now that I think about it. Oh my gosh. Right? Now that I'm dead, find a purpose. Jeez. Please do something more useful. I pray. No, he hasn't. He doesn't think beyond the next hour. Best advice he's given. Right? Find your bloody family. Yeah. To break out of this cycle. That doesn't need a sword. Bye. Honestly, it was a more gentle death than he deserved. The way he's like, okay, right, about this. You might as well. Useless. Oh, not the pretty face, not the moneymaker. He's like, he's my kid, he's my nephew. I can do what I want. He'll be fine. I'm the king now. Thank you. That would be the pretty boy right here. Past. See how the crown just fits. That's right. Bow down. Well handled. Scram, he said. You still crying? Over your papa? Thorkel's like, I take it back. I'm not related to that kid. Feral child. Still. That was dad's. He dropped his dad's knife. Finally. 10 years of gripping that thing like it was giving him life and breath. Ooh, not the whole life flashing before him in the blade. Oh, where are we going? Drone shot. Who is this now? Are we in Africa? What's going on? Who are you? Je lost. All right, well, that's how we end it. I'm not exactly sure who those people were at the end, but I'm assuming that's a nod to season 2, potentially, things that are going to make more sense in the future. All right, well, that is indeed the end of the prologue, I guess. All of this whole season was all about, I guess, the origins of Thorfinn's story. I got to think that in season 2, we're going to follow more of it. But yeah, we see finally the end of Askeladd. And I mean, I think anyone who's been watching me through this whole thing knows that for me, Askeladd, while he a very intriguing character, was not one of my favorites. I feel like his death was absolutely karma. He's caused a lot of death and suffering to people in the name of money, and I feel like this was a long time. He got a nicer death than a lot of the people that he took out, or he allowed people to take out. Children, babies. Yeah, no, so I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all that Askeladd is gone, and at least he got to bleed out slowly, right? You know, it could have been a lot worse. But anyway, we see that the reason Askeladd chose to sacrifice himself, I mean, for the last few episodes, he's been saying that his time is limited, and that's why he's been pushing so hard for Canute to be king and making a lot of moves that are considered quite rash even for him. But we saw from the last episode that he was really struggling with what to do about this potential of the invasion of Wales. He realized, you know, once the king asked him about, you know, Wales and asked those prodding questions, that he clearly gave away his ace in the hole of saying, you know, there was no connection or there was no reason that Wales would be a problem for him. But, you know, unfortunately Box Top did catch it. And when the king confirmed that, Askeladd realized that there was going to be no simple way to navigate this. And when he did the whole plea, which I knew was not going to go over, because it was like, while his argument sounded good, and obviously a lot of the people who don't really like to fight were like, yeah, we don't want to go into a land that's really harsh and cold and all that kind of stuff, but it still sounded desperate, right? Like the king is sitting there saying, we're going to do this because these people are opposing us, which in a war, you do not want people who are opposing you to be allowed to be loud and wrong or not wrong, but loud and just defiant when other people could hear, right? Because there's a lot of English people who've been subjugated now who are not happy about it. So if they hear that Wales is out here rebelling, it's going to inspire more rebellion. So there's just Askeladd's, his argument did not fall the way it could have in any other space. So anyways, when we see that the king finally gives him the ultimatum, the Sophie's choice, he's like, do you want Canute? Do you want to save his life, or do you want to save your people? It's one or the other, right? Because he's like, I did did a little digging. I was right when I said last episode, I'm like, the king, when he asked him all about his past, I'm like, that was not for nothing. He did his research and realized, you're probably part Welsh. This is why this is so personal for you. So anyway, and of course, maybe he didn't know, but this, his reaction to invading Wales was like the confirmation he needed. But anyways, he tells him, you got this choice now. You either save Canute or you save your people. Which one is it going to be? Right? And that's Sophie's choice, because we know that Askeladd really felt some type of way about Canute taking the throne, as far as the promises that Canute was going to make. But everything he's done up until this point, as we learned, particularly in the last episode, or the one before that, sorry, when he had the duel with, or just after the duel with Thorfinn, everything that Askeladd has done, he's put it on the justification of what his father was and what his father did to his mother, and how he treated him, and this duality he's been living with his whole life, this hypocrisy of claiming to be a Dane while slaughtering them and saying that he hated them. Like, all of that was predicated on the idea that he was going to protect his homeland and potentially get to go back there at some point. So the idea that they would be conquered by the Danes would kind of erase all of his years of doing what he's done thus far, and all of the negative emotions and anger and hatred that he still carries around. Because again, every time someone mentions his mom being a slave or what his dad did to his mom, you see he instantly gets like viscerally angry. So, and that's the only time we see that, right? Askeladd, every other time we've seen him all season, he's been very jovial, very laid back, always has this mask of being unbothered. But when those things come up, it's like he's right back to being that 11-year-old boy. So I get why, he saw a lot of himself in Thorfinn, right? That's one of the reasons he's so connected to Thorfinn, is that he saw himself in that kid, and he understood more than Thorfinn will ever know. Well, actually he does know, because he did explain it to Thorfinn 2 episodes ago. But yeah, see, this is, I think, him trying to explain to Thorfinn, like, I get why you are like this, and this is kind of why I've let you live this long, but you haven't grown, and that's my problem. At least I grew somewhat past that, but you're still stuck in this loop of loser, of trying to take me down in the same way that has never worked. But I digress. So anyways, we see that he's given that ultimatum, and he realizes the only option for him to save both Canute and his homeland is moving up the execution of the king. He didn't want to have to do it that way, and I think he already knew from the second he swung that sword it was going to be the last thing he ever did. But I mean, in the plans and the way that he wanted to do things, that's pretty much the most badass way he could have gone, right? He took out a king of the king and the people he hated, and on top of that, he took out a good chunk of the king's men on his way out. So, and I think, like, honestly, he would have been able to keep going, but Thorfinn, as usual, being where he's not supposed to be, Askeladd did not want him to get killed. I mean, as I said, their relationship is complicated. I wouldn't say it's love, but it's a connection for both of them. So he didn't want Thorfinn to end up getting taken out because he didn't understand the situation. Because again, if Thorfinn had grown mentally and emotionally in all these years, he would have understood more of how Askeladd did. Because the fact, again, remember I said a couple episodes ago, I compared Canute's maturity mentally compared to Thorfinn's, despite the fact that they're the same age. And you know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that Canute picked up immediately what Askeladd was doing, and, as much as he didn't like it, had to stand back and let it play out, and even explained a little bit to Thorkel what was going on. He couldn't have done that with Thorfinn as he is right now. Thorfinn is just so emotional. Like I said, he's like a feral child in a 16-year-old's body. So anyway, we see that he's taken out, and I really like that what Thorkel said there when he told Thorkel, when time comes, I'll send you in to break it up. And Thorkel's like, nah. He's like, if you're going to be the king, you need to clean up your own mess. This is your dog. That's your leash. You need to take care of it. I'm going to sit back here. I'll back you up, but you need to be the one to do it, or these people are not going to respect you, including myself. So he's learning, Canute's a quick study. We'll give him that. And so that's why he was the one to, probably the weakest stab ever, but he managed to do it. He did it, it was one of those things where it's like, sweating and pale, but that's fine. I actually like the fact that Canute at this point in time does not like the idea of taking life. I know it won't last, but it's nice. It's a nice change for the Danes to have somebody who really is not down with just taking life easily the way the rest of them are. But anyway, that happens, and we see that Thorfinn arrives, and on Thorfinn's side of things, we see that he did somewhat decide to follow Floki. But I knew he wasn't ready. There's just, his whole life up until this point has been wrapped up in this revenge plot. And I kept saying it in the episode half joking, but I was serious. Like, for all intents and purposes, Askeladd is his father. That's the man who's raised him for the last 10 years. That's the man who's looked out for him and taught him a lot of what he knows. So he does love him like a dad in a way. not love him. I don't want to use the word love. It's more of he's connected. He feels for him. He definitely is connected to him. I wouldn't say it's love in the purest form, but it's definitely a deep sense of attachment. And as I said, last episode, he was in the mood he was because Askeladd was disappointed in him and he hated that. And you don't care about, if it's someone you hate, you could care less if they're disappointed in you. But if it's someone that you actually respect, it's different. And that's what, Thorfinn respects Askeladd a lot. And so anyway, he couldn't just leave like that. It wasn't the time, and bless Floki for thinking it would be that easy. But anyways, he went back and arrived at the wrong time. And of course, to witness his, the sole focus of his existence get taken out and not the way that he wanted. And we see that I knew he would be upset about it. But yeah, basically, I like that Askeladd, at least in his dying words, once again tried to push this kid in the right direction. He's like, bro, like, I need you to do better. Like, I'm praying that me dying at least releases you from this vicious cycle you've been in. Because he talked about that 2 episodes ago about how he's used this cycle that Thorfinn is locked in to use him all these years to his ends. And so basically, like, Askeladd's like, this is probably the nicest thing I'm ever going to do for you, but I'm releasing you basically by dying like this. You no longer have me to worry about. I'm gone. The man who killed your dad is gone. And like he said, even right now, if you want to stab me right now and do what you promised and take me out with your dad's blade, I'll let you do it, even though I'm already bleeding out. But we'll just ignore that part. We'll pretend that you're the one who did it. But he was basically like, here's a freebie. Here, do what you were going to say. Finish this so that you can finally free yourself. And I love that he said, please tell me you're going to do more than this. Tell me you're going to leave this dull place and go, like, do what your dad said you were going to do and go find Vinland. Go find something. Like, just don't live for this. Like, you've lived 10 years for revenge and it didn't work out the way you wanted anyway, but now you're released. For all intents and purposes, you're out of it. So I hope you'll take this as the gift it is that you were never going to take. So yeah, he basically died, and Thorfinn was understandably completely discombobulated because, again, this person is the only person he's connected to and known since he lost his dad, right? This is the closest thing to a family member he's got, despite their very complicated relationship. So understandably, he was upset. Canute did his best to try to talk him down. He, of course, went for Canute, but good on Canute for having good reflexes, because the fact that he just got away with a slight shave. But anyway, Canute was like, I'm not mad. Like, I understand how much he wanted to take this guy out. Like, I was there at the last duel. Like, this is personal, but don't take him out. Let him have a minute and figure out what he wants to do. So we see that they basically had to hold him back, because I swear Thorkel wanted to spank him. He's like, kid, I'm over you. But anyway, for now, I guess they're just gonna hold him until he loses the fight in him. And Askeladd is gone. Askeladd is finally out of the picture, and he died, I think, the way that he wanted to die. Maybe not exactly the way he wanted to die, but given the circumstances, as Canute said, he got to save his homeland and save the person he thinks is the future of the Danes at the same time. So it was a purposeful death at this point. At least at this point in time it is. So that's how he ended it. And yeah, my boy Thorfinn, hopefully, I really like that scene when he dropped the knife that has been the symbol of his reason for doing all of this for so long, as it's falling, his whole life again flashing before him. It happened in the episode after the duel, and now again, everything from this moment all the way back to that being that little boy, that wide-eyed boy that used to smile and laugh looking up at his dad. And yeah, at this point, he's got a big decision to make. Thorfinn has been locked in, he's been a prisoner of this revenge plot in his mind for 10 years, and he has not grown or matured or gotten a chance to even think beyond it. And like Askeladd said to him, you've never even thought about what you'd do after you took me out, did you? Like, not once did you think about what your life would be like after this ended. And that's what I'm trying to break you out of. I'm hoping now that with my death, you'll finally start thinking about your future and not just the next hour of figuring out how to get to me. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. We ended that way there. There was a bunch of flashes, like I mentioned there. I'm not sure what the flashes were about of the different areas and different people, but Thorfinn's got a big decision ahead of him. And I do hope at this point, now that he's been released of this guilt he's felt as far as needing to take this man out. I mean, he's going to grieve Askeladd because he will, but I'm hoping at this point, if he chooses to stay with Canute, that he at least tries to grow and do and be better. I don't know. I do think he needs to go home, but we'll see. As he feels like his parents, his mom and his sister were just there as kind of like a little bit of fodder to round out the beginning of his life. But considering we have not seen them since, I'm assuming we may never see them again, but I do think it would do Thorfinn some good to go back to his roots, his real roots, and ground himself and get himself to a place where he can actually start to grow and mature and start his life for real and start living for what he really wants and not for, you know, that twisted revenge that has driven him for so long. So yeah, that is the end of this season. I think it did a great job of, you know, giving us Askeladd's arc along with Thorfinn's arc. You know, they were kind of in parallel this whole season. And now, even though Askeladd's journey is over, Thorfinn's, as far as what we know of him, has ended. And now it leaves a fresh chapter to be started for the next season and hopefully for him going forward. And like I said, I just hope the kid gets to a point where he actually has a reason to smile, because that kid has not cracked a smile since he was a kid, which is sad. And he deserves to at least do that at this point. And again, he's young enough that he can turn this around. Living as a pirate / warrior for 10 years is a lot. So he's due a break. Hopefully he can take it. But yeah, great season. I enjoyed it. I see why this show was so popular when it came out. Really good storytelling, really good animation. I know I definitely expressed some frustration with certain characters, but by and large, I enjoyed this show. And like I said, my main thing whenever I'm watching a show is I like to see growth. And we got to see a bit of that with Askeladd towards the end. And I'm really, and definitely with Canute, as short as his term in the show was so far, but I'm really hoping in season 2 we get to see that growth come also from Thorfinn, because like I said, it's been a lot of cyclical storytelling and events for him up until this point, but now we've had a break in the cycle and that Askeladd is out of the picture. So hopefully in season 2 we're going to start to see some changes and some growth come out of that kid. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this series with me. I appreciate you so much, and hopefully you'll be with me to do season 2. And if you are waiting on that, in the meantime, there's a lot of other stuff I'll be dropping, so I hope you will join me for that. Please do join the fam if you haven't already. And for those of you who already have joined the fam, thank you so much for your support and your comments and all those great things. I appreciate it a lot, and I will see you in the next video.